Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our follow-on event in the Lead Angels Founder Series. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know it's especially a Saturday morning, very precious for all of us. A little introduction on Lead Angels. Some of you are already our members, our founders. Some of you are our portfolio companies and members, and a few of you already know about Lead Angels, but for the benefit of the rest of the audience today, we started off as an angel network. Today, we are a full stack financial services firm. We have around 300 plus members across the globe. Some of them are CXOs of notable organizations and people with business backgrounds with deep enterprise and corporate connections and entrepreneurs as well. So our network is currently managing 50 plus active portfolio companies today. We have a high survival rate of 80%, which exceeds the industry average. So more than 12 companies of ours have raised raised funds at a valuation of 3 times of what the Lead Angels had invested in, and our network invests up to $500,000. We also have a fund which is a SEBI registered AIF Cat 1 Angel Fund. We've already made 6 investments through the fund. You would have recently noted some of the recent announcement that happened through our page, social media pages as well. Apart from that, we have an advisory arm where we help startups raise their next levels of funding. Our sweet spot is anywhere between $500,000 to $5 million. We also have LAMS, Lead Angels Management and Professional Services, where we provide legal, accounting, and documentation services to startups across all stages. This is primarily to speed up the turnaround time. Well, having said that, I won't delay any further. Jumping right into the event. So today's focus is on marketing. And as we all know, it is a game of trial and error. Building a brand and marketing are very, very specific to the company. And even if the products or services offered are similar in nature, the recipe for building a successful brand and resonating with the target audience is very different across companies. Today, we have with us Mr. Rajneesh Chaturvedi and Mr. Ashutosh Kumar. Mr. Chaturvedi has immense marketing experience of 25 years, spanning brand management, digital marketing, and communication planning. He's got experience both in the old economy of the so-called consumer products and FMCG, and the new economy, which spans all the e-commerce. He had earlier worked with different brands and product categories in the FMCG, BFSI, pharma, and e-commerce space. He's currently an advisor at McKinsey and also teaches at NMIMS Mukesh Patel School of Technology Management and Engineering in Mumbai. Thank you very much for joining us today, Rajneesh.
Thank you so much for giving the opportunity.
Thank you.
Looking forward.
Thank you. We also have with us today Mr. Ashutosh Kumar, who's a blogger turned internet marketer. He's currently a director at Vapronix. So being an entrepreneur and a consultant for early stage startups, he'll be sharing with us a complementing perspective coming from his entrepreneurial lens. I'll turn it over to Mr. Rajneesh to walk us through some of the insights and all.
Okay, thank you so much for the nice little introduction. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to keep it as much as interactive session as much as possible. Let's not wait for the end for the question and answers. If you have any point of view or any query, I will try and answer. I will try and solve it. If just in case I don't have the answer right now, but I will make sure that that the query is solved. Okay, so I've had a fair amount of experience in consumer products and as well as the digital, on the e-commerce side. Okay, and the fundamentals of marketing, I'm sure all of us, you would be aware also, they remain the same. Okay, it's just a question of how the message has to be communicated across to your particular TG. So what I'm going to do today is that I've made few slides, okay, which is a little bit of slightly more deep dive of the internet and the digital ecosystem, and with specific focus on performance marketing, because that's what companies and organizations like yours they start. So the way it happens is that you start with performance marketing, and then after a certain stage you get into a brand marketing. And having worked in MedLife, which was one of the early startups, I think we had that, we first focused on the performance part, and then after a certain point of time, we moved into the brand one, and then the shift from performance to marketing is a great, it's a very learning experience within itself. So, so let's start. Let me just project my screen. Everybody can see the screen?
Yes, yes, that's visible. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. All right. So just setting the context, and the first few slides will be more on the these are the data and these are the statistics that all of us, we are aware of it, but I thought that it might give a good starting point. So, and this is the data which is, I mean, across industry, but there is a specific portal called Data Reportal, DATAREPORTAL. They seem to have a fairly robust data, and then of course, you have many other sources, industry sources, IAMA, okay, sometimes the readership surveys and all. So this gives you a sense. So there are about, so India's population, and this is, I think, 2021 statistics. This was during the the COVID one. So you will see how those numbers reflect. So there are about close to 1.39 billion people. And out of this 1.39 billion, there are about 35% they stay in the cities. So about 65% still stays in rural India. So that's a big audiences. That, I mean, the 35%, that's also very big one. But a majority of the audiences, they still stay in rural India. Okay? And that's a big audience that is available. We have about close to 1.1 billion mobile connections, okay, which is about 79% of the population, India's population has a mobile phone. So the 21% is still left. And we have about 624 million internet users, so about 45%. So this is interesting here. The 45% they use internet, and 55% are still to use internet and social media. Social media is about 448 million, which is about 32% of the audiences of India's population. They use social media. So one of the biggest misconception, and I'm going to speak in subsequent slides, is also is that digital media is not equal to social media. Social media is not equal to digital media. There are so many other factors, so many other things that we have to keep in mind. But often there seems to be a misconception, okay, in a majority of the marketing organizations, that yes, if you do a little bit of social media and you associate the yes, social media is equal to digital marketing. I'll have an Instagram page, I'll have something on Facebook, I'll do something probably on Twitter, and that's about it, which is not the best option, which is not the best way to go about it. As I said, the total number of social media users, there are about 448 million, which translates to 32% of the India's population. Okay. Every year, so last year there were about 78 million people who came on to the social media platforms. So these are 21% of the people. They are it improved by 21%. Okay, and out of the people who are accessing your mobile, your social media, about 99% or 99, more than 99%, they do it from mobile. So this makes it very clear that whatever communication that you have to think about it has to be kept with mobile in mind. There are very few handful, who will use it via the desktop mode. Okay. In terms of the categories, and I'm sure quite a few of them. Anybody from these categories? Travel, fashion, beauty, electronics, food and personal care, video games, digital music, furniture and appliances. Anybody from these categories present on the call, or anybody who works in these categories?
Yeah.
Yeah, Hiren. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, I'm in this category. Yeah.
Which category, Hiren, are you in?
So we have a travel accessory and we have a lifestyle accessory product.
Excellent, excellent. So these numbers, they were taken, I think, sometime in April to June 2021, which is about a year old. And you will see that this, when compared to the last subsequent, 2 years, the travel mobility, it was down by 55%. So this kind of, because, people were not allowed to go out, and people, there was, many restrictions. So you had to be at home. So that explains that why it was 54%. I think now with opening up, these numbers have moved up very clearly. Important thing is that while uh, the travel mobility, was not working well, fashion and beauty, it's very interesting. Fashion and beauty had a 40% increase. I mean, it's there. I mean, you're not, you can't go out, but at the same time, people were ordering, and people, started using this category. Okay. Electronic and physical media, that explains sense, because a lot of people had to buy laptops, a lot of people had to buy phones, a lot of people had to do, since the entire communication, went online. So this happened out there. Food and personal care, that also moved. This is essentially the uptake, on the big baskets, or the Blinkits or the Grofers of the world, where the government was actually pushing for e-commerce, and that is also there. A lot of people who were not essentially e-commerce adapters, they actually started using it and ordering out there. Okay. The similarly was the case for furniture and appliances, toys. Okay, digital music, it saw a big upswing, and video games, and these explains the reason, the fact that you were actually at home, and these numbers were actually going up. So, but for travel and mobility, most of the stuff went out, and and I think these trends are likely to continue. And I think the last set of data that I had seen was that these trends are increasing. People have got used to buying stuff online, and that has kind of become an habit. Moving ahead, okay, now this is again very interesting chart that you will see that the acceptance of online, okay, is probably across categories. So earlier, if and I'm saying with keeping the the wearing the brand hat, if you at some point of time you have to decide that what should be a primary PG or what should be a TG, and who should be the communication focused on. Earlier, by default, we used to take about 16 to 34, okay, or maybe 16 to 44, depending on what kind of product is there. But if you see that, the interesting, the 55 plus, okay, that has also increased a lot. So there has been more. In fact, this category, the swing is slightly higher, okay, as compared to the 16 to 24 ones. Now, this again tells that this has become it's become a matter of fact, and people across age groups have started using e-commerce. Okay, digital payments. You see about 589 million people have actually started using, or they use these digital one. Okay, in terms of the annual value, it's about 74.4 billion. Incidentally, we are far ahead in the United States as compared to the digital enabled payment. It's still in those markets, it's still a credit card led one, while here we moved a step ahead. And the digital enabled, I think we are the, if we are not the number one, I think we are in the top two in the world. Okay. And if you see the digital payments, an average value of annual transactions per user, okay, has increased to about $126. Now, this as compared to India and China, we are quite below, but the fact is that we've made some significant improvement as compared to the last year. Okay, so as I said earlier, digital media is a lot more than social media. Digital normally, again, it is the the owners and the founders and the set of people that you're out there. The focus sometimes moves into that. Yes, this is all about social media. So as founders, typically. The initial part, the initial 0 to 2 years or 0 to 3 years is purely put on execution. Okay? And one insight, across founders, whether it is, and I've had the experience, with really big founders, okay, and not so, and upcoming founders, okay. It's a human tendency. And this is across geographies. The moment every founder will say or will think that my idea is the best, and I am actually solving one of the biggest problems, and this is it. This is it. For me, what they fail, and they fail miserably, okay, is when it comes to reaching out to the consumers. So while you've thought of, yeah, it's a, sometimes I had the existing ones, but what fails is that you kind of speaking to the consumers, becomes a challenge. So that's how things they sometimes don't exceed. So in my experience, and I'm sure Ashutosh will be discussing subsequently also, I think the most important part, the first step as far as digital marketing goes, and I think you should just focus on search. It is your website, the content that you have on the website, how relevant that content is, okay? And focus on search. Okay? You start with SEO. It's a long process. It takes time, but if the fundamentals are taken care of, this will help you in achieving your task or in achieving your KPIs. Okay. So far, so good. Any questions? Any good, bad, ugly? I knew it already. So what's something new that you are telling? To aata hai? Anything? Come on. Yes, Kapish.
Hi, Rajneesh, Kapish here from KidX. I am in the area of EdTech, focused on extracurriculars, includes DIY and live classes both. So interesting to look at things. Broadly, I have a macro level question. When we are trying to determine the marketing strategy or GTM, looking at the data, there are two big problems which I think any entrepreneur faces. Number one, marketing data is always lagging by at least a year, if not more. Like you pointed out, travel is being reported as minus 54%, but we know last 6 months travel has been growing like crazy, right? Any hotel you pick in the country, you chances are you will not get a room. Absolutely. Secondly, there is also a dilemma. For example, you mentioned that there are 589 million users who have made digital transactions, right? And now government reports show that 435 million people in India actually have bank account as of October 2021. So fundamentally, what eventually ends up happening is most of the time as an entrepreneur, we are taking decisions basis gut, right? Basis some empirical evidence in the market rather than some of these hard-baked data. So any wisdom or anything in your experience that how do we get the balance between leveraging data versus going by the gut?
Okay, excellent questions, Kapish. Very good question. So, see, so your point number one saying that the data is slightly delayed. Okay, it's sometimes it's 6 months delayed. It's sometimes about 9 months delayed. Sometimes about a year old delayed. Okay, and especially in a field like this, where things or the statistics, they change very fast. So, I mean, 6 months ago, or maybe 8 months ago, cryptocurrency, everybody was, like, okay, cryptocurrency, that's the next big thing. And currently today, we are struggling a lot. So, it's a very closely guarded secret, and I don't know why, but the data that the government of India has, and quite a few of it is actually published data, that is a rich source of information, and they do it every year. Okay, they get into the brass tacks, they get into details. Like, I mean, it's very difficult. I mean, it's very surprisingly, so I was doing something about Maharashtra, and I was amazed at the kind of information which is available. So they have to publish a white paper before the budget session, before the budget is done, and that has a lot of data. So I think you should try and see the data from government sources. Okay, that should be the starting point. Okay, and secondly, I think, see, when you had started, Kapish, I'm sure there would have been many people or many many advisors to you, say no, and you went ahead with that. Again, it's a combination. I mean, what has worked for me is that, okay, if I feel, or that this makes sense, and there is some kind of a validation in some data point, okay, and you try and see the government one, because the other factors like the number of households and the penetration of white goods and all that's easily available, and those numbers, they do not change. But it's when you come into a little bit of the digital side, so those numbers they change. So I think the 2 points I'd like to keep, I would like to advise, or I would like to keep in this forum, is that one is that let's look at and there is a lot of data that the government publishes, okay, census, and and I think you should spend some time, one of the weekends, to look the amount of data that is there. And secondly, after having built a business, I think there is some kind of a gut one, because only data will not give you there will be no data which is available across industries, which says that, okay, this is what I need to do, this is what to do. I don't know if I've been able to answer the question or not, but that's my 2 cents that I'd like to advise, or I'd like to do that.
Sure, appreciate it. This is
Yeah.
helpful to know. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So moving ahead, the next few slides I'm going to talk about how does performance marketing actually works. I'm sure most of the you all would be using in some form or the other, but I'll just put it through so that we are we are slightly clear. Okay, so performance marketing is a type of digital marketing where the brands pay once the business goals are met. Unlike the brand one, where you do it and then your KPIs normally are either the Tom scores or the relevance of the brand. But here it is very clear that the brands will pay only once they're these goals are met. It could be sales, it could be leads, it could be traffic, or it could be app download. Now, these are the major ones, and I'm sure the others are also there, but these are the main KPIs that one starts. Okay. Now, this is the customer acquisition funnel. This is quite relevant, and this is important because it also says, so at what stage, what should be your KPI? If the KPI is awareness and interest, okay, people are familiar with this awareness, interest, consideration, the brand funnel. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the typical, purchase pathway, So if the KPI is on awareness and interest, okay, then you should have a campaign which is leads based. Okay. If the campaign is on consideration, intent, and evaluation, okay, then you have to look at the prospects one. Okay. And then if the KPI is purchase, okay, then you have to keep on the customers, that how many customers I'm getting, how much customers is digital marketing in different ways. It could be via Facebook, it could be via Google, it could be via any of this, and we're going to discuss it subsequently. Are bringing to the table. So if the awareness one, then normally you look at cost per impression. Okay, if you have to do trigger, or if you have to get engaged, then your KPIs are more cost per click or cost per engagement. Okay, if you want to improve your consideration scores, then you look at cost per lead, and then finally if the idea is that orders, okay, then it is cost per sale. Okay. Now, what are the different channels that are used for performance marketing? These are the broad 6 channels which are used for performance marketing. You have social media advertising, you have programmatic display advertising, you have native advertising, okay, you have search engine marketing, okay, you have high impact mobile advertising, and you have affiliates. So I'm going to explain these. So social media, of course, it's often used to gain traffic, boost engagement, generate leads, and increase brand awareness. Okay. Paid content is also crucial to improve your post performance. So if you have a Facebook page, or you have an Insta, or you have Twitter one, you first start with the normal post, okay, and then sometimes you also boost those posts. So that's called the paid advertising. You spend 5,000 before, or say 500 rupees on a post, or 1,000 rupees, or 2,000, and depending on how do you get the response. So this is used, and most often payment model is cost. Am I actually reaching out to that? And then all these companies, Meta, okay, and Google, they have, after you reach a certain scale, then they actually they help you. Okay, they come back, they sit with you, and they try and explain that this is how you should be doing it. So when we were in in MedLife, our numbers were not moving at all, and then we realized that our entire content was in English. So Google came back to us, and they said that, listen, in your category, English contributes to only 9% of the search. So 91%, if you are effectively not reaching out to 91% of the audiences. And that's when we realized we got into regional stuff. I mean, Hindi contributes to about 54% of the search, and this is slightly elder TG that we were talking about. And once we start moving into Hindi, okay, and Tamil and Telugu, our numbers actually moved up. So regional is very important. And normally, what we do is we commit the mistake, not mistake, but what we try and do is we start with English and see okay how English is performing, and then we get into the other regional stuff. I think if we can run that extra mile, and if we can have a regional, okay, or a local or a vernacular language, that will improve the scores big time. The second one is programmatic display advertising. Okay, this is one of the most effective ways to drive results to marketing campaign. Okay, display ads are one of the most well known. Okay, and by going through specific publishers, okay, one can take advantage of the contextual advertising. And the advantage of programmatic display is that one can access the same audience, okay, as others throughout the bid. The other thing that we have to keep in mind is that once you start the digital marketing, and once you achieve a certain amount of scale, everything should be developed in-house. So what happens is that even if you have one or two people, because all the data is very important and it stays with you, outsourcing it to a different agency, that is there, but I think we should develop the capability from day zero within the company in-house, is what I would suggest. Okay, then you have something called native advertising, and I'm sure the importance of content has come across, and people have understood what content advertise. I mean, how much content is important in the entire marketing piece. So something quite similar to this one is native advertising. Okay, that doesn't look like an ad. It mimics the content and the function of the page or site that it is placed on. Okay, it often comes in the form of suggestive articles at the bottom of the news or social site. Okay, good native advertising educates and informs customers, okay, at the top of the sales funnel. It usually takes the form of CPM advertising. Then again, search engine marketing, as I just said, that the most important part, okay, and I think the first step that we should decide, get the content correct. And how do you get the content correct? You look at the trends, you look at the you look at the keywords that are being searched, and basis those keywords and basis the topics that you are being that have been searched, you create your content calendar. Okay, let me give you an example of a mistake that we did. So I was the head of marketing and growth at MedLife, and we were creating the content calendar. And this is an e-pharmacy, and we are and our TG is somebody in the age group of 45 plus, somebody with chronic diseases. Okay, so we thought that it's winters, and and it can be and the winters can be very severe in North India and some parts of Western India also. So we assumed that let's talk about joint pains and create the calendar about joint pains, and then we published, and the campaign was on, and it was live, but we were hardly seeing any response in terms of either and you have different KPIs, what's the time that people are spending on it, how many people are actually reading the blog, how many people are spending time on the website and all. And that's where we realized that people are actually looking, okay, about how does how do you improve your skin during winters when it becomes very dry. So people are searching about dry skin or skin one. And we, in our infinite wisdom, we were talking about, joint pains. So there was a clear mismatch. Now, to avoid those mishaps, I think it's very important to have a sense of, what people are searching and what people are talking about online. And this is the closest that you can come to a consumer insights and consumer research. But I think better than understanding what people are talking about your brand. And this should be I think this should be one of the most important things and one of the first steps that one should take while Hiren.
So that's a very interesting insight that you shared.
Yeah.
And but how did you go about finding that, that is what the customers were searching for?
No, so there are there are the Google trends. So you have Google trends and you have the keyword searches. What are people doing it? So anybody who's done SEO understands that. And we again, we assume that people should be talking about joint pains and all. That was not the case. So yes, Shantanu.
Yeah, so actually, I just wanted to add few points here that if
Mhm.
your company or the startup is selling something, then you should be having those keywords in your search campaign, because going generally for the, let's suppose if you're talking about the pharmacy sector, you
Yeah.
cannot put a keyword of pharmacy or medicine online, because
No,
if
no,
you're
no.
not dealing with care,
It will not be
then
approved.
you
It
can,
will not be.
yeah, that is only. So like this, you can reduce your campaign results. This will improve your campaign results and lower your cost also, because irrelevant keywords with the irrelevant hitting of the ads will cost you. So no point of
Yes.
adding generalized keywords in the ad campaign. And sir, my second question will be that most
Yeah.
of the results or the most of the customers come from the search engine optimization or search engine marketing. So don't you think that the Google is the only source to customers, because on Instagram or the Facebook and this and that, on the social media, build a presence only, but actual customers come in from the Google search network, ads,
Correct.
Sorry,
AdWords and all.
sorry for disturbing everyone. Apologize, but a request if we can take the questions at the end, just so that we have time for everyone. Thank you.
Okay. So so we'll come back to your point is very valid. Search and it improves the ROI part. Okay. Then the fifth one is high impact mobile advertising. This is although since 99.5% of people and majority of them they access through the mobile. I think all those animated and all that stuff becomes quite easy. Okay. And then you have affiliate marketing. Affiliate marketing is a performance based marketing channel where brands partner with publishers and pay them an agreed commission rate based on actual performance. This
Sir, can you go to the earlier slide, mobile marketing? Just
Yeah.
to read. Thanks. Thanks.
Yeah. Mhm. Okay, so that's the one. CPA. In terms of the number of orders that comes from affiliate marketing, they are slightly less. So about 25 or 30% of your orders will come at, but it's a cost efficient one. So while Google, so once you're doing the KPI, you should also look at what's the cost per acquisition or cost per install or cost via different channels. So how much, whether I can optimize Google, I can optimize Facebook, or I can optimize this one. Okay. I'm going to end with this slide on the what are the 6 steps. And it's important to define the goals and objectives. Then determine the channels, create a campaign, execute, Fifth and sixth is the most important one. Gather, optimize, and rinse and repeat. So this is a brief that I had as far as the performance marketing part is concerned. What I will try, what I'll mm, I'll hand it over to Ashutosh now. So Ashutosh has been an entrepreneur from day one. I mean, I've had the privilege of working on some really big and marquee brands. So this is, what's my experience is, working on different brands and different categories, but I'll hand it over to Ashutosh. Ashutosh has been an entrepreneur from day zero, and he'll give you his perspective on, on what has worked and what has not worked for him. Over to you, Ashutosh.
Thank you so much, Rajneesh ji, for the introduction, and thank you so much, LA, for giving this chance to me. Good morning, everyone. I'll be sharing a small slide with you all, guys. So this is from my perspective, and this is from someone who has done everything hands-on. I have done blogging, I have done SEO, I have done ads. I have done almost everything. You name it, I have done it. So this is hands-on experience. This is not macro level. This is very micro level thing that I'm trying to share with you guys, right? So first of all, important to remember that this is not for startups who have big pockets. This is for people who are starting their journey, who are curious about what to do and what not to do, right? So I have jotted down few points. First 4 points that I have jotted down: the challenges involved and the lessons learned by me while I was doing internet marketing, right? So first thing that comes to someone's mind is where to start, right? So this is something that I feel is a major question that comes up to anyone who is starting, right? So first thing is very important. People often forget that SEO and ASO, basically SEO, we all know that is search engine optimization, and ASO, that is app store optimization. So people turns their back towards these two things, which I feel, whether you have an app or you have a website, you should be doing SEO and SEO no matter what. You should be starting from day one. This is very basic. You can search online what is basic SEO, what is on-page SEO, what is off-page SEO. You can start from day one with SEO or ASO both. I saw a question in the chat box that someone was asking if we should start with ads or we should start with SEO first. So I think this is from my personal perspective, we should be doing both SEO, ASO, or ads. We should be doing both the things because both of them go hand in hand, right? Second major problem that everyone faces is they are not able to find their target audience or the right channel. There are a lot of channels out there. You can do anything and everything using SEO. You can do, and you can reach out to your audience via social media. You can reach out to your audience via native ads, affiliate marketing. There are a lot of channels, but you have to find your right fit by testing. There's no, uh, as it says, no one size fits all, right? So you cannot just rely on one channel, but you have to test to find out your what's the best channel that works for you. For us, so let me tell you about myself a bit. So at Vapronix Web, we reach approximately 30 to 40 million users per month. Yes, you heard it right, 30 to 40 million users per month. We create and publish games, and we reach almost all the countries in the world, in almost all the major languages in the world. What worked for us is push notifications. People often forget how important is uh, push notifications are, right? It's a crucial thing because we publish games. So this is something that comes from testing. We have tested out influencer marketing, we have tested out affiliate marketing, we have tested out Google ads, Facebook ads. We do everything, but yeah, the one thing that works best for us is push notifications, right? As a founder, the second thing that comes to someone's mind is we want to control cost. We really want to control how things are happening. We really want to control how much are we spending on, even if it is tools or services, or we are hiring someone, uh, we are hiring a third party, or we are testing ads, right? So talking about that, anything and everything that you do, you have to test, right? For example, if you are running ads, you have to A/B test your landing pages, you have to A/B test your ad copies, and always have a room of improvement, right? So if you let's suppose you are getting a cost per sale of, let's suppose, 200 rupees, it might be possible that you can A/B test your landing page and your cost per sale can come down to rupees 150. It can be possible, right? Or you are running a CPL or a cost per lead campaign, right? So it might be possible that you are running at rupees 100, it can come down to rupees 50. You have to test. It is not certain that one ad copy or one landing page is working for you, that means it is fine. There is always a room of improvement, right? So you can always cut your costs, always try, always A/B test. Next very important thing, as an early stage founder, people often are very impatient about results with digital marketing. That is somewhere I feel people forget that you have to have patience when you're starting digital marketing. At least, this is worst case scenario, you should at least have you should at least give 3 to 4 months when you're starting your marketing campaign, like SEO or ads, whatever you're starting. You have patience. For SEO, it generally says that you have to wait for 6 months for the result, right? For ads, at least 3 months. For example, if you're just creating a new ad copy, for that to work and to give you results, you have to wait at least 7 to 15 days for that. Next very important thing is tools and services. Why I have mentioned tools and services? So I'm working with lead angels for around 3 years now. Basically, I have invested in a lot of startups, and I have seen startups buy unnecessary tools and services which are not that much valuable. There is a tool, there are multiple tools in market which charges lakhs and lakhs of rupees, but there are free tools and services which you can use easily. And even if you want to buy tools, just consult with few people and try to buy cheaper tools which are available in the market. But yeah, do not try to be as cheap that you are not even buying, trying to just do it everything from free, because obviously nothing is for free. So you should buy necessary tools and services, but do not overspend on them. There is one tool called Mixpanel. They charge 3 to 4 lakh rupees for their services per month. It's hell. You are going to spend a lot of money on that, but you can do everything which Mixpanel does using free tools and few paid ones, right? Last but not the least, I do not recommend to hire an agency until unless you're confident with them, until unless you are sure that yeah, they can bring results. My personal way to control cost is to hire freelancers for the job that they can do. So yeah, so I think that's it from my side. Starting from challenges involved and the lesson learned. I would like to take questions now because it's already I think we have spent a lot of time in the presentation part. So yeah, happy to answer any questions, anything that you have. And over to you, Lakshmi, if you have anything.
Thank you, Ashutosh. Just one question before we take questions from the audience. Thank you for sharing these insights. Thanks to you, and thanks to Rajneesh as well. Are there any low-hanging marketing channels that you think? I mean, you've shared how one should start, but are there any low-hanging marketing channels that don't consume too much of your resources, right? Initial days, you're wearing multiple hats. You're the HR, you're the marketing expert, you're building business, product, etc.
It's very simple. If people want to write it down, there are 3-4 points that everyone should do from day one. It's like from day one, you should be doing your SEO or ASO, right? It is very easy to learn about it. You can just Google it. You can find people there. There are people like Brian Dean, Neil Patel, who are writing about SEO a lot. There are Indian people like Gaurav Jag. There are a lot of people who are teaching SEO, but you should be. You can just Google on about SEO. It is a no-brainer, right? So SEO and ASO from day one. Social media marketing from day one. You do not need to spend money for social media, right? People say we do not have designers. Honestly, I made the PPT that I have shared with you, the slide. I made that using Canva. It's a free to use tool. And even if you want to use the pro version, it is in literally few hundred rupees, right? So people can create images, videos, slides, anything and everything using Canva and share on social media. People can start with content marketing from you can start with blogging. So you can take example of there are a lot of companies like Paytm or these companies have content rich websites. You might have not seen the likes of Byju's have content rich websites. They are not just selling tablets to people, they are also selling content. They get visitors using the content. For example, on Byju's you can find answers of all the NCERT questions on their blogs, right? People actually search about chapter number and answers, so they get visitors via content, right? You can write about uh, your industry, anything and everything related to your industry in your website. Create a different blog
I'll just
section in
add,
it.
yeah,
Yeah,
Ashutosh,
please, Rajneesh ji.
I'll just add one thing into it. Everybody who's in the business, I think all the founders, okay, without fail, all of you should be a part of, deliveries, or you should do deliveries, okay, at least once in 15 days, without fail. And that's something, and the kind of insights that you get from there are none to. And believe me, this is tried and tested one. We used to do it. I think that's the first thing that you should definitely do, and inculcate that habit in the organization. Okay, tomorrow you'll have a lot of people coming, team joining and all. I think that is mandatory. Everything else is acceptable, but if you don't go for deliveries once in 15 days, okay, or 2 days in a month, that should be unacceptable. That's one. Okay.
Adding to that, that is since Amit Agarwal from Oki Poki is here. So personal branding, I would like to congratulate him because he is one of the LA company, right? So he does personal branding at a very good level, and leveraging that for for his own startup, even for fundraising. So whether you can use LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or anything, there are multiple startup founders who are leveraging personal branding, not just for their own startup, but also for fundraising. There is another startup called Melvano. So Taran Singh is the founder of Melvano, and he's from IT Madras. He does personal branding on LinkedIn. He's a great personal branding expert. So yeah, SEO, content marketing, blogging, even viral content. There is a website called Thrilophilia. It's a travel website, right? Thrilophilia does a very good viral content marketing on traveling. So you might have seen their content a lot on your WhatsApp, maybe on Instagram or Facebook. So they leverage viral content marketing. So this is something, this is available for free. These marketing techniques are available for free, right? There are tools too. If you want, I can share those tools with you guys. There are a lot of tools provided by Google for free. There is Google Analytics. You can A/B test your pages using Google Optimize. You can track your conversion using Tag Manager. You can, reverse engineer or find the keyword volume using Google Keyword Planner. You can reverse engineer, Facebook ad strategies using Facebook Ad Library. There is you there is a free tool from Microsoft which tracks everything, and that too in video, that is called Microsoft Clarity. If you haven't heard about it, you can use it to track user journey. It gives you heat map, everything for free. Microsoft Clarity is there, right? Then there are other tools, premium tools like SEMrush, Ahref. Anything and everything is available. All you have to do is implement. Yeah.
Got it. Got it.
Lakshmi.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Apologies. Earlier, there was a question that was asked and had to intervene in between. Rajneesh, request your response to the same.
Yes. So what was the question?
So question was about marketing. Let me give my 2 cents. It was about the one should spend on ads on Google because visitors are from Google, and spend on branding on Facebook and other channels. So if I'm not wrong, this was the question. Am I right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It was.
great. So Rajneesh, I hope you do not mind. So there is a thing called remarketing, Shantanu. So whenever user visits your website, you can always track that user. If they are using Facebook or any other social media, you can always remarket to those users. It is not necessary that user has already converted. If that user has converted, that means you can always start your branding campaigns using social media. But if that user has not converted, you can always remarket. There is a thing called Facebook Pixel, using which you can do it. Over to Rajneesh.
Okay.
There's
Yes,
sure. Please, Rajneesh, please share your insights.
Yes, Dheeraj.
There is a question from Dheeraj. They do OPT health plans to users. They offer OPT health plans to users. His question is how to start digital marketing. I think this was already answered, but anything else you want to add?
Yeah, so here, I think that as I said, the focus on the website, on the content, okay, and get the SEO up and running. And then, offline marketing, within offline marketing, you should do you should try and do, hyper local marketing, which is a very, very specialized one. So we had an e-pharmacy, and we had started, delivery in 2 hours, medicines delivery in 2 hours in certain pockets of Bangalore. And I think, that hyper local level advertising, okay, whether it is, those small pamphlets or parking signages and boards and security people or the RWAs and all, that actually helped a lot. So I think in terms of priority, first you need to put in your SEO first, okay, your content first, and then if possibly, you should look at some hyperlocal options as well.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? Anybody has?
Can I have a question, ma'am?
Yes, please. And if you want, please feel free to turn on your camera as well. Be happy to see you. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Hello, ma'am. Actually, I'm a practicing doctor.
Yeah.
And I have one question for both of the speakers, sir. Sir, generally, whenever sit for these conferences and lectures, everybody is talking about digital marketing and offline marketing, which is very common phenomenon. But for a startup, the initial problem comes is the marketing channel, what he should do for his initial phase of pilot. When we talk about minimal marketable product, or when you talk about minimal viable product. Now, this is it's a very initial stage for a startup when he's out to prove his product into the market. Where if he thinks of going for an SEO, we take this for 4 months, or if he goes for a paid marketing, which is another added cost to him. So if we want to ensure that your MVP is a hit, what channels you recommend for initial 2 or 3 months, offline as well as online, to ensure that he can generate a little bit of credibility about his product?
See, it's a very interesting question. So if you are looking at what should be the, sequence of events, okay, it is, it again depends on the category. Now, especially, so you're a practicing doctor, okay, and I had an experience in, e-pharmacy, one of the early ones in e-pharmacy, okay. So our focus that time was that, and then we had moved beyond the, MVP stage. So we wanted to be the thought leaders, and our focus, was purely on being the thought leadership. So, for example, if you're a doctor and you prescribe somebody, say metmorphin to somebody, and that person wants to understand, what is metmorphin. So our platform should be the one who will explain it from a consumer's point of view, not necessarily that, this will do this will do that. And to some extent, 1mg did a fairly, decent job of it. So that was our idea to do that. Now, secondly, the question that you're asking is that, when you are in the MVP stage, okay, when you're trying to build the product, and maybe you want to launch the product in, say, one city or in one neighborhood or few pin codes, and then get into it. So I think if it's a neighborhood led one, okay, maybe a little bit of, hyper local, of course, there is a cost, but what you want is that it is the word of mouth that will help you in getting the initial traction. Okay, and somebody is saying, yes, I've ordered it, okay. That time you should not focus too much on creating content or digital marketing and all. That comes after a certain level. Back of the envelope calculation between 3 and 6 months, once you have actually launched. Okay, all these things should happen post 3 months, between 3 and 6 months. But but you should be very clear from the very beginning that my site has to be relevant for the audience. So when you are building the MVP, or when you're building it, I think they should, even if you have to get a trainee and say, listen, you just tell me what are the people who are, are searching, and it's an easy job for him. That will help you in, creating that kind of a destination, creating that kind of a content.
Thank you.
I hope I've kind of answered.
Yes, so one more question to add to it.
Yes.
Since you come from a little bit of health background, because you have done a product in healthcare, health is something very niche where the credibility has a very huge stake because it involves healthcare. And as compared to other faculty, Google says that people searching for healthcare are very few percentage as compared to other domain, because it's all about trust building factor. So can you give some insights how these challenges can be overcome?
See, I mean, if you have to search for, you'll find a lot of people actually, searching for, a good place, or a South Indian restaurant, or you're looking for, food and all, but you will hardly see anybody saying a good doctor around. Okay, so that's definitely a challenge. And then, of course, compounded with the fact that, Google, they have very strict policies about, talking in healthcare. So like, we could not use the word prescription. So prescription was not allowed. So you can't use the word. RX ko aap jo hai, kitne creative format mein, you could do it. In trust and healthcare, probably that what worked is, is the reviews. So I mean, if you have your own clinic or you have your own place, okay, what really worked is that, you know, people coming and, you know, talking about you very highly. That yes, I went to, Dr. Karnawat's place. Dr. Karnawat was very helpful, and this that. वो सब चीजें जो है ना वो that probably works in healthcare, or at least it used to work in healthcare. Yeah. Yes, Shantanu.
So I just wanted to add few points here. As
Yeah.
Dr. Karnawat is in very starting stage of his journey. So, Dr. Karnawat, can you answer few of my questions?
Please.
Are you looking for a solution where you don't have to spend very much and you have just started building your MVP? So are you looking the solution for this? कि भाई अभी अभी तो शुरुआत की है, पैसे भी उतने ज्यादा नहीं होंगे, ठीक है,
Correct.
और मेरा प्रोडक्ट सही है कि नहीं है, तो ये सारे क्वेश्चंस है ना आपके.
Absolutely.
देखिए जो हमारे लिए काम किया है, बेसिकली वी आर एन कैब एग्रीगेटर प्लेटफॉर्म हियर इन वाराणसी, ठीक है. तो हम लोग ने जब शुरुआत की तो हम लोग ने पहला एक काम ये किया कि हम लोग एसईओ के लिए गए, ना हम लोग उसके लिए गए, गूगल एडवर्ड्स के लिए गए. हम लोगों ने सबसे पहले अपने फेसबुक का इस्तेमाल किया. वो ऐसे किया कि जैसे जो भी हमें प्रोडक्ट बनाना था उसके बारे में या तो हमने लिखा, या तो उसकी एक, जैसे ये अभी सर बता रहे थे कि कैनवा पे उन्होंने एक प्रोडक्ट डिजाइन कर लिया जो कि फ्री एक प्लेटफॉर्म है. आप वो चीज आप कर लीजिए कि कैनवा पे, या आप कोई भी फोटोशॉप के थ्रू आप अपने प्रोडक्ट का एक प्रोटोटाइप बना लीजिए कि भाई मेरा ये प्रोडक्ट होगा, इस तरह से वो काम करेगा, मैं इस चीज के लिए सोल्यूशन करूंगा. फिर वो क्या कीजिए कि आप अपने फेसबुक पे खुद तो शेयर कीजिए, आप अपने फैमिली और फ्रेंड्स को कहिए कि वो उसको शेयर करें, और साथ में उसमें अपना लिंक दे दीजिए. हो सकता है व्हाट्सएप का लिंक दे दीजिए, या फोन नंबर दे दीजिए, या कोई गूगल फॉर्म फ्री टूल है उसका लिंक दे दीजिए. तो वहां से क्या होगा कि आपको फीडबैक मिलना शुरू हो जाएगा. तो उससे क्या होगा कि आपका जो एमवीपी आप बनाने वाले हो उसमें इम्प्रूवमेंट मिल जाएगी आपको. और साथ साथ में जब, क्योंकि वेबसाइट बनाना इट्स अ कॉस्ट थिंग, आपका पहले पैसा जाएगा, फिर बाद में वो चलेगा नहीं चलेगा. और एसईओ की जहां तक बात है, एटलीस्ट 6 महीने उसमें आते ही आते हैं. या आप अगर मार्केटिंग के लिए जाएंगे तो गूगल में आप 500 रुपए में आप अपना एड चालू कर सकते हैं. जैसे अगर आपको लगता है कि आपको और क्रेडिबल रिजल्ट चाहिए, जहाँ पे आपके नोन पीपल, देखिए नोन पीपल तो आपको अच्छा बोलेंगे ही, हाँ हाँ बेटा बहुत अच्छा बना रहे हो, हाँ भैया बहुत अच्छा बना रहे हो. लेकिन अगर आपको नॉर्मल कस्टमर्स के थ्रू भी फीडबैक चाहिए तो 500 रुपए का आप अपना एड चला लीजिए. मेरे ख्याल से 2 से 4 दिन वो आराम से चल जाएगा विद कंट्रोल फ्लो. मतलब थोड़ी सी चीजें आपको सीखनी पड़ेंगी और अकॉर्डिंगली आप बहुत अच्छा कर ले जाओगे लाइफ में. दिस वाज माय 2 cents. I hope it helped.
Yeah. But I'll just add only one challenge which we have felt in our product today. That I'll give an example. Suppose if there are 10 restaurants, and if you want to add one more restaurant to it, it is very easy to market because people are already aware of restaurant in the market. But when you go in the market with a new concept only, which is launch maybe very niche or very rarely it is been launched for the first time in the country, that time that acceptancy level goes on a very higher side. It becomes so difficult to convey your message to the end user कि ये concept कुछ नया आया है, because it takes time for them to understand the concept. Now that is the challenge we are facing today. It is not about our product is good or bad, that's the second point, but to communicate our product is what we are facing to the challenge.
So if I can probably help you add in, what exactly is the product that we are talking about?
I'll quickly share in a minute. Basically our insurance company they don't cover your OPD health expenses.
Okay.
They don't cover. So we have launched a product where we shall cover only the OPD expenses of the customer.
Okay, excellent, very good.
And second problem what we found was that to claim or to buy an insurance product, there is a lot of paperwork.
Yes.
And we have made a product wherein which we settle the claim instantly just via OTP without paperwork.
Okay, excellent. So you, Dr. Karnawat, you're based out of which city?
Mumbai, sir.
Mumbai, na? Okay. I think probably, and we had a similar kind of a problem, but not so acute. And I'm talking about a few years ago, and I'm just going to take 60 seconds before we move on. Our diagnostic businesses, was an issue. People were not ordering diagnostics, tests on the app. Okay. First, they were not very sure that, you're giving a 70% discount. Is there some hidden thing out there? Okay. And secondly, the fact that, you need to come home, pata nahi kya, kaise, is it authentic? It's not authentic out there. Okay. So you're basically trying to change the consumer mindset, which is very huge. It's a huge one. Perhaps what you should use is and think through, with the team and all these WhatsApp groups and, all the, on WhatsApp, all the senior citizens and all that, these groups, they will help you immensely. It's absolutely free, nothing you just need, and you yourself being a doctor, you can create, one or two few posts. I think that we start with that, and I'm sure it will work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dheeraj. Thank you, Rajneesh. I think next question is from Kapish and Pramod, and then we'll close. Thank you.
Yeah, so not really so much of a question, but a few quick observations from my side, given that we have now completed 2 years of journey. And it will connect the dots in terms of what we are covering. Number one, when we started out in 2020, we built our website on Wix. Wix is a free, it's a token cost platform where you can, like you create a Microsoft PowerPoint presentation, you can easily create a website. But the advantage was a basic level of SEO services already works on Wix. All you have to do is read the different tabs in Wix and enable it. But that was surprisingly so great for us that without even trying to do a double click on SEO, what does that mean? What needs to be done? We found that we were featuring in the top keywords for at least 20-25 different relevant words. In fact, if you want, you can even create some hidden pages on Wix, which you do not make it a part of your real website, but you write down 50 different PDFs, long text, just post it on Wix, make it discoverable in SEO, and that software gives you a very decent day one SEO output, which means that if someone is searching, you would be found. So to anyone who is trying to actually think about how much effort will it take, if you are using something like Wix, it works beautifully and it helps in an initial brand awareness. Then after that, what we realized as we became bigger, from Wix we moved to our own website, right? All of a sudden we realized that on SEO from a decent position, we have dropped down to 0, right? All these different links, Neil Patel, wherever we thought that we were decent, everywhere we started to come at 0. And then we started to build SEO in our own native website. And the biggest dilemma which an entrepreneur faces, I am not a tech illiterate entrepreneur, but the dilemma you face is fundamentally you tell yourself, oh, SEO will give me result in 6 months. So I have to play the long game over here. I have to be patient. So you build on SEO. Now, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, when you are launching a new feature on your website, or you are launching a new web page, all of a sudden you realize that the entire energy was on releasing those new pages and features. After 2 weeks, you see that your SEO got broken. So your 6 months of that countdown, which was to start, all of a sudden after 6 weeks, you found I'm back at zero because in one of the release, SEO has got broken. And after going through this round, at least my impression right now is that your SEO cannot work unless you have a dedicated team member who is looking at it on a very frequent basis. So at least I, as an entrepreneur, feel that SEO or ASO cannot work on a magic time commitment basis, and it is also not a generalist task. Whether you employ a freelancer, now in freelancers, whenever you employ freelancer, no one takes accountability of getting you the results that your traffic will increase by this much or your bounce rate will reduce by so much. Everyone says, I will do these 3 tasks or 4 tasks for you. So fundamentally, the dilemma is your SEO will deliver business results for you if the entrepreneur is himself or herself behind it, or else it is something which will not really yield result. So that is a strong feeling or bias I am carrying. Ashutosh, if you feel that, am I being headstrong on something and taking a false position,
No,
it will be
you are not taking a false position basically. So what I want to tell everyone who is starting, SEO is something that you should be keeping in your mind while doing any change in your website. This is very, very, very important. Uh, it's not it's not rocket science. There are very few basic things that you have to keep in mind. I'm not talking about higher end SEO where you are doing backlinks, yeah, you are creating PBNs or you are doing expired domain SEO. I'm not talking about those things. I'm talking about very basic few things. There is a thing called on page SEO that you can always keep in mind. You can read about it online. It's very basic. You have to have right title with right keywords. You have to have meta tags. Your page speed your page speed should be good. Those are very few basic things that one should keep in mind while doing any kind of change in the website. Number one thing, right? If you are changing your website or an app, we have done it. In my early days, I have changed a lot, right? So we used to do a lot of changes on our website, right? So it's all about testing and then implementing and checking the results. But please do not overlook SEO. It's easy to understand. People have that. A lot of people think that it's a rocket science. It's not. Please keep that in mind. So that's what I think, that if you are making any kind of change, just go through once about all the few basic points, write those points beforehand, that you or keep a checklist that yes, you guys have done this. You can easily do it. So at least on page SEO is something that you can keep in mind while doing any kind of change on your website or an app.
Excuse me, Kalpesh, what was the name of this Wix you said? Can you spell it, please?
Wix, Wix. You can just Google it, Wix.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gautam. Thank you so much, Kapish. I think we'll take Pramod next. Thank you, Ashutosh, as well.
Hi, Pramod here from IntelliWings. So we are a B2B RegTech startup. So I think so far we have been discussing about end users, B2C space. Do you have any suggestions for B2B area also? Does it differ?
Oh, yes, it differs. It differs. I think the focus changes, and in a slightly longer run, the cost of acquisition for B2B is much lesser than as compared to B2C. If you can just help me a little bit more about the platform that you have.
Yeah, so what we do is we provide AML CFT compliance, which is anti-money laundering and combating of financing of terrorism. So it is for banks, life insurance firms, e-commerce. Also, we have come into, and now in UAE region we are into real estate, jewelers. So every B2B company almost needs this compliance. So we have SaaS offering, which is selling hot in UAE region. We have now 28 B2B clients already there. And then the on-premise offering, which is the typical B2B offering for banks and other firms. So it is mostly checking the transaction and checking the customer whether all is right and there is no suspicious pattern on money laundering or terrorism.
Okay, and it's not mandated by, I mean, it's a nice thing to have it, and companies, just to ensure that the practices are very healthy and
it is not nice to have. It is a mandate. It is a mandate. It is a heavy mandate.
as
Yeah. So it is a very big mandate from right from the top, from FATF, which is a Financial Assistance Task Force, and then every country has law for it. For example, India has PMLA Act, which is Prevention of Money Laundering Act, and US has BSA Act, the Bank Secrecy Act. Likewise, every country has this act, and it is a very strong compliance requirement.
Okay, excellent. So, so here, I mean, you're not creating a need. I mean, in many companies or in many brands, you need to create, a demand or need. So that demand or need has already been created, via various, legislations or best practices. You just have to show that, or you just have to say that, okay, I'm the best person, to do your job. I'm the best person out there. Here, I think possibly your blogs and your digital marketing with specific reference to the search part that perhaps works very well, because when people, they want to do it, so they will come online and they will search for you, and when they're searching for something in this space, then you should be visible. And then, of course, most important thing is word of mouth. Somebody who's already doing it, he will recommend your name. That's how things happen. But it goes to a certain level. I mean, from say 10 customers, you move to 100 customers, or you move to say 200 customers. But from 200 to 1,000, that's where I think you should, or B2B, the content and the the digital part plays or SEO plays an important role.
Yeah, we were trying to optimize the SEO thing. The problem is, see, we are still in the growth, I mean, early growth space, you can say, but there are very well established players globally. I mean, in India, we are becoming with the niche ourselves, but they have spent millions of dollars on SEO, and whatever we try with a low budget thing, their content flashes up. So how do we tackle that? I mean, it could be you and both Ashutosh combined, but this is very important info from the SEO point of view. How do we just take on these big shots in terms of SEO?
Okay, Pramodji, let me tell you one thing. This is for everyone again. Two things that everyone should do. One thing is keyword research, and another thing is reverse engineering. So what do I mean by reverse engineering? Find your competitors, find the keyword they are ranking for. This is very specific, very micro level work. So you should know what is keyword research. If you don't know, please Google it. You should know if people are actually searching about the product that you are creating. This is not about offline. This is only about digital marketing, right? So you should know if people are actually searching about those keywords. How would you know that? There are tools. There is a tool called Google Keyword Planner. It is available under Google Ads. There are other tools called there is another tool called SEM Rush, which you can use for both reverse engineer and keyword research. There is another tool called Ahrefs. So you can use that tool. So you should know if people, first you should know if people are actually searching for it. If they are searching for it, obviously their there might be competitors or there might not be competitors. If there are no competitors, good for you. If there are competitors, like Pramodji is talking about, you should be focusing. This is very important. You should be focusing on long tail keywords, not generic keywords like one word keyword or a 2-word keyword. You should be focusing on long tail keywords. Rank for at least 4-word keywords. Try to rank for 4-word keywords, not for a single word keyword. If you're trying to do that, obviously others have spent millions and millions of dollars. They are older than you. You might not outperform them on those keywords, but yes, you can outperform them on keywords which are long tail and people are actually searching for it. I hope, Pramodji, that helps.
That was very technical point. Good, Ashutosh.
Yes.
Good to know. Any other strategy? Because see, this is where we have a lot of things we are missing out on, and any of these points would be gold for us. So one of these long tail is very
Honestly
much
speaking,
noted.
yeah, one more thing, write as much content as you can about your genre, about your topics. Try to cover up a lot of content, but focus on long tail keywords. This is very important for SEO, right? So if you're not if you're writing, even if you're writing relevant content and focusing on short tail keywords, you won't be able to rank. If you're writing content and focusing on long tail keywords, if you're writing blogs, you know, you will ultimately start generating leads. I will highly suggest you to check blog of thrilophilia.com. So that's a travel website. I'm just giving you one example how these guys do it. It's a travel website called thrilophilia.com. You can check. They write a lot of blogs, right? And they generate a lot of content, and they generate a lot of visitors using those blogs, right? You guys can also do that.
Okay, thanks for that. And one last question, because I'll let other people also speak. So the backlinks thing in SEO, at the early stages, how do you get that backlinks thing? Because you can probably inject into your other blogs, your website, but is there any proper strategy for backlinks?
There are a lot of strategies. There are n number of strategies for backlinks, right? For starting, one thing that I would recommend for someone like you who is into B2B are profile backlinks. What are profile backlinks? You can create a profile of your business on all the business directories or social medias or anything on any and every website that is available in the market. You can create your profile, and there is an option to put your website in that profile. So start from profile backlinks. Then there is social bookmarking. There's a huge list: profile backlinks, social bookmarking, press release, you know, PBN. There is private block network. You can use expired domain SEO. Everything is available on internet. It's just that people do not search about it, right? Even someone is asking what is long tail keywords, right? You can just Google it. What is long tail keywords? Those are long keywords with at least 4 words in it. Simple. The keywords that are, you know, easy to rank. SEO is not a rocket science. Again, you can Google everything. It's available for free.
Ashutosh, you said one tool called KHREF, right?
It's Ahrefs. Let me share the link. Ahrefs. Yes.
That is KAREF.
No, it's Ahrefs. A for Apple. It's A for Ashutosh. I have shared the link in comment.
Yeah, it's in the comments.
Ashutosh, can you please share your number also, please?
Lakshmi would do it post call. You can directly contact with Lakshmi. Hope that's fine.
Yeah, I'll do that, Gautam. And we've put the links to the presentations as well. There's a Google link that has been put up for any reference you would like. Somebody had requested for it. Amit had requested for it. And unfortunately, we have to end the questions now. But if you have any questions, please feel free to share with them. We will get them answered. I must say thank you very, very much, both Ashutosh and Rajneesh. We've gone a lot over time, but you've been with us. Thanks a lot for coming on our panel. And I want to thank all of you, all our participants, for making it very engaging. Thanks for your time, everyone. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll have them answered and share them back to you.
Thank you so much for giving the opportunity, and
Thank you so much, everyone.
hoping to see everybody again in person
Yes.
this time.
Absolutely.
Can we have your number, ma'am, to contact you, Lakshmi ji?
Yes. You can. I'll share. You can ping me on LinkedIn or anything. I'll share my email address here.
I don't know where to ping you at for. Just filled a form. आपका LinkedIn पे कोई form आया था. I don't have.
I'll share my email address. Yeah, I'll certainly share my email address. One second.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you all.